Alright, so the last few days I've not been feeling too great, but I'm starting to feel better and the weather's actually pretty nice. It's supposed to be 45 to 50 for the next week or so. Hopefully that holds out longer. We don't have any parts for the Camaro right now. There's a few things we can do, but I think I'm just gonna hold off right now, maybe. But I figured now would be a good chance to kind of go over a few other things that have been happening in the background of videos. So I usually try to do something like this to keep track of where I'm at with each thing. And I made this part for Goldie Hawn before I actually got the S10. That's why it's in a different color there, obviously. And you can see here, when I was writing the turbo list, I wrote S480 question mark. And then got the S10, and this was kind of like a rough idea. You can see I haven't made much changes, but there's this right here, S475. And that is where this comes in. I know what you're thinking. This isn't an S475. This is actually the very first turbo I ever messed with. This is the blown up turbo off my 87 Chrysler Conquest that I had many moons ago. That was a fun car. I wish I had it back. The guy I sold it to actually blew it up. I told him, don't turn the boost up anymore. He turned the boost up, sent a rod out the block. Apparently there was a wiring short and the car went up in flames. Ripping pies. But, yes. This is the first turbo I ever messed with, probably 4 or 5 years ago. That really has nothing to do with it other than I like it, and I like keeping it around, and I like that story. This, however, this is an S475, and it's heavy, so I'm gonna set it back down. Even though I'm an incredibly strong boy, it is heavy and awkward to hold out here a few feet. That, I was gonna put that on Goldie Hawn, but since that's not really gonna be like an all-out drag truck anymore, I'm gonna kind of turn that back down, keep it more streetable. I want that to be my daily driver again over the summer. It's gonna be kind of between that and James Brown. I wanna drive the fuck out of James Brown. So this big girl here, I think we're gonna put on the S10. Now this one, I do not remember what size it is at all. Obviously it's pretty small, and then when you compare it to that, which is like as big as my foot, and I've got huge feet, I think this will do more than what I need it to. Because I don't need to make 1,500 horsepower. I don't need to make 1,000 horsepower. I just need to make a vehicle that's gonna be fun to drive. There are so many people out there that get hung up on this number, and I honestly don't really care about it. Truth be told, Goldie Hawn's making probably like 400, 450 at the tire. I know I'll put like 550. That's probably what it's making crank, give or take 500, 550. But I mean, that's realistically, it's probably like a 425 horsepower at the tire truck, and that thing's so much fun to drive. So don't worry about the number. That's all bullshit. That's just something to brag about. So if this truck makes, let's say, 700 horsepower, that'll be pretty freaking quick for as light as this thing's gonna be. Because remember, this thing it's not gonna be a street truck. This is gonna be pretty much full-on drag truck, as much as my wallet can afford, which isn't much. Don't get that confused. Like, a lot of these are leftover parts and just deals that come up. But quick update, this engine is still just like balancing here. I haven't done anything with it except set a set of 317 heads on it, and they're literally just sitting on it. They were taking up space on my workbench, and I had to clean all that the other day because I was getting tired of just shoveling crap out of the way. And then this is the TBSS intake that I showed you in one of the last videos. I think this probably will go on Goldie Hawn. This one will probably get, I have no idea if I'm being honest, but I don't think this one will go here. This makes a whole lot more low-end torque, so I think it'll be good for Goldie Hawn versus like a sheet metal intake. Those tend to make power way up in the RPMs. That's what that'll want. And we'll just put the turbo like right here, give or take, and then probably just dump pipe right through the fender. Give or take. A lot of this is up in the air, like I said, and this isn't an urgent build. This will probably be, I need to finish the Camaro first, and then I'm going to finish James Brown, I think, and then we'll probably work on Goldie Hawn. So this will be 4th in the lineup, 3 for personal vehicles. And speaking of personal vehicles, let's kind of give a quick update on everything, because there have been some changes that a few of you already know about. Obviously, this isn't my car, building it for someone else, but I think what I'm going to do, since he's kind of dragging his feet getting me his 5.3, I think I'm just going to use my 5.3 to build this, because I know this is a good motor, and then whenever he can drag his over here, I'm just going to throw that back in my stockpile, and that'll be my spare 5.3. That way I can keep working on this thing. There should be a pretty good amount of parts showing up in the next couple weeks. I got a cam coming from Justin Baker, Dr. Differential and Speed Shop. It is a Texas Speed cam. I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to show you guys, but I'm not going to spoil anything right here. I got a bunch of the boring stuff. I think I've got pretty much everything ordered to finish the car except some fuel injection hose. I'm just gonna run to the local parts store and grab that because it's pretty much the same price, and I don't want to get just some cheap crap that's going to like blow out in a few months. I will buy the cheap China stuff when I think it'll work, but there's some things that even I shy away from. And then I'm pretty sure this is the stock radiator. Someone asked about that in the last video. I'm pretty sure this is the stock Camaro radiator. It looks like it came with the 4.4. And then as far as James Brown goes, people who are here for like the S10 and the Camaro, you may not actually be familiar with this car. This is James Brown, my 84 Mazda RX-7. It has a 5.3 in it. Got a power glide right there for it that's supposed to have a shift kit in it. Total mystery. The transmission was actually given to me. But I do have a bad-ass TSI converter in it. Pretty much, I just need to spend the time and put it together. I think I've got almost everything. Probably need a couple more fuel fittings for like the fuel system. I need to make the exhaust system or like the dump pipe, stuff like that. I ordered some oxygen sensor bungs because that's the last part for the exhaust system, like the hot side that I need. And then I can wrap it and hide all those crappy ass welds. Little shit here and there. Mount the radiator, mount the intercooler, make the intercooler pipes, which I should be able to do now that I got a TIG welder. Don't ask me to weld your shit. I'm very bad at it, but I think I'll be able to at least glue them together. And then just finish stuff. And what I mean by that is like the interior, because I have a complete carpet kit for it, so I just need to pull the seats and make everything look nice. And then we'll have 3 shades of interior, because it was a factory brown interior. I have a black carpet and red seats. And the whole like goal behind this car originally, and still is to build the car for $4,000 all in, drive it to the track, run 10s, drive it back home. So that's one of the reasons it's kind of taking a while, is just holding out for deals and stuff like that, trying to get the best bang for your buck. All right, let's go look at everybody's favorite vehicle for some reason. This is Goldie Hawn, and this is where she's been sitting for the past, I don't know, a week or so, week or two, at least 2 weeks. Right now this has a 5.3 in it, the factory 5.3 actually, with almost 250,000 miles on it. Never touched the bottom end. I've pulled the heads off, put some different gaskets in there, but I have not gapped the rings, anything like that. And it is supercharged. It has a Vortec supercharger. It's making, depending on the RPM, around 10 PSI. Believe it or not, guys, I do actually have another headliner for this that once I get this in the garage and start working on it, I will replace that. So there is the most significant part of this truck right there, that little spinny whirly guy. And a lot of you guys have asked, this is already sold. Someone put down a deposit on it already. So once he finishes paying for it, I'm gonna rip that and the entire exhaust system off, and that's all going to him. But I am keeping the intercooler piping, my injectors, my intercooler, and my map sensor, because I'm going to keep all that stuff when I go to turbo. And the plan was, like I said before I got the S10, I was going to 6.0 swap this and put like a S480 or something on it. But I kind of think since it's going to be back to like daily driver status, I might leave the 5.3 in it, because that 5.3 runs so good. I'll throw a different cam in it and build a turbo kit, like a pretty nice one. I might buy one, I don't know. And here is where I would normally give you an update on the Suburban and tell you that I haven't done anything with it and I've just been driving it and it's been doing great. But I can't do that because I haven't been driving it, because I got rid of it. I traded it actually. Oddly enough, there's a Suburban going by that looks exactly like my old one. Yeah, I traded it. A lot of you have seen, and I made videos about it being up for sale because it was just killing my wallet. I wanted something a little bit more economical. And I just wanted something different. I had that thing for a while, at least a year and a half, and I just wanted something different. So here's what I got. This is a 2006 Jeep Liberty. Yeah, I know, it's a Jeep Liberty. It's the high school girls Jeep, all that stuff. I feel the exact same way. But this one, it kind of has a look to it. Like, it has a small lift. I think it's a 3-inch lift, 2.5, 3-inch lift. It has, like, the cheapest brush guard I've ever seen. I was driving it the other day and the lower ball joint broke on it, which was exciting and fun. When we were gonna winch it up onto the trailer, we put the winch cable around this bar right here and started winching it and it just ripped it out of there, which broke my heart. But it is, you know, I like it. I'll be honest, I like it. It's gonna take some getting used to because I've been driving that Suburban for like a year and a half, or Goldie Hawn, off and on. But this thing, it's a totally different experience. It's a small SUV, and truth be told, I've been wanting a small kind of off-road SUV for quite a while now. If you remember way back, like a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, I did a few videos with a Geo Tracker I had, and the original plan for that thing was to make it kind of like a little overlanding truck, but that thing was a pile. I paid $300 for it, and I think I overpaid. But that was a lot of fun, and basically I just wanted to kind of not do off-roading, because I don't care that much about like going over huge obstacles and going through mud pits, all that shit I don't care about. Like, my heart's in the street or on the track. I like drag racing, but I wanted to do some like light overlanding is the main thing. Something I could throw the car seat in and the wife and I could just go out, cruise some trails, because over a few miles from me is Yankee Springs, and they got a bunch of trails and just nice, fun off-roading trail stuff, and that's what I wanted. I have had to fix a few things on it, but he told me straight up that there was some issues with it. He told me that he thought a wheel bearing needed to be replaced. The wheel bearing seemed fine to me. The ball joint was a surprise though when I was cruising at like 55 and all of a sudden the front end just dropped down. That was fun. And then I needed to throw a new U-joint in it. And there's a random like squeaking kind of sound, like metallic rubbing sound in the front end when I go over bumps. Not sure what that is yet, but as long as nothing breaks, I don't think I'm too worried about it just yet. All I've had to do is just oil change. It's usually the first thing you want to do when you get a new vehicle, although I'm often guilty of not doing that. But oil change, U-joint, and the ball joint, I think, is all I've done to it so far. And I've put pretty close to 100 miles on it so far. I've only had it, I think right now is exactly 1 week that I've had it. I'll have to think, is it 2? No, I think it's 1 week now that I've had it, and I dig it. I definitely dig it. So, I don't know. I guess that's kind of gonna do it for today. Oh, there's a couple other things I guess we'll talk about while we're already making this crap little filler video. The Cadillac quit running. Like, it fires up and then it turns off immediately, kind of like when you do a swap and you forget to disable VATs. That's what it's acting like, but it drove fine for a while. I don't know. I got the battery out of it and I'm going to let it sit, and I'll throw the battery back in, see if that kind of resets anything. If it doesn't, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it, because truth be told, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to anything else for quite a while. Like, there's the Camaro, James Brown, Goldie Hawn, the S10. I'm hoping I don't have to do any work to that. Let's talk about Chris's truck. Chris, you need to get a carburetor for your truck. That's all it needs, and it'll run and drive pretty much fine. We stole the carburetor off Jack Black and threw it on here, and the thing fired right up. It idled great. So all he needs is a carburetor for this thing, and I'll be straight up, I'm not a carburetor guy. I've bought used ones before, and for whatever reason, it never seems to work out. So just to save the headache, I keep telling him to just buy a new one, because you can get like the Summit 750 carb for like low to mid 300s, and then that thing will be pretty much ready to go. So I think there's only one vehicle left to talk about, and that is Jack Black. Now, Jack Black has been sitting here for like like 2 or 3 months now. It's been just sitting here, and I don't know what his plan is with it. Pops! Come talk about the truck! Oh, there you are. You gonna come tell us about the truck, Duke? Yeah, you gonna come tell us about the truck? What's the plan with it? Oh, Duke. I thought we had something special. All right, well, while we're waiting on him, I'll lift Jack's dress up. Why are you wearing a dress, Jack? We'll talk a little bit about him. I can't go into details, because I don't know the details just yet. I know that we have talked about a lot of different options, but I don't know if he's, like, decided on anything, or if he has a new plan. Like, I don't know, he might want a 12 valve swap this thing. But this is where Jack Black has been sitting for at least the past 3 months. After that last track day, just brought him over here, parked him, threw a cover on him, and have not done anything with him since. I think he might have fired him up a couple times, but don't quote me on that. You can still see the, the numbers from that track day. So, hey, the battery still has juice. Look at that. Still have the jumpers in here from when we were trying to start it. I'll pop the hood and we can talk about the setup for those of you that don't remember. So this is a bone stock bottom end. Cast pistons, untouched rings, fragile rods, bone stock bottom end 350. This is actually the one that came with the truck when we first bought it. So I'm sure this video is starting to drag on, but once I start just rambling, it's kind of hard to stop. Anyway, for those of you who don't know the history of the truck, it was supposed to be a quick flip. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for 600 bucks. I think he actually had it up for 800, and I was like, would you take 600? He's like, sure. But it had this engine in it, and it already had the turbo 400 in it, but the guy couldn't get it running, couldn't figure it out. Turned out that the power wire came off the distributor. Plugged that in, fired right up. We took it to the track like that. I think it ran 17s or high 16s, and I don't remember why we pulled this engine. I think we just were like, yeah, why even fuck with it? And we put another engine in it, and that one, oh, I'm having a hard time remembering. I think that's the one that threw the rod, maybe. And then we put another one in it, and there was something up with that one, I can't remember. And then we ended up putting this one in it, which was the one in the truck when we bought it. So it's kind of funny that this engine we took out because it wasn't fast enough, and then with the help of some spray, of course, and heads and stuff like that, it ended up running, I think a 12.2 was its best time. But this has, like I said, bone stock bottom end, a comp XE274 cam. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a 274 cam. China, like Speedmaster heads. Just the cream of the crop Edelbrock Performer intake, cream of the crop Edelbrock 600 carburetor, which those two things I really hope are going to get addressed. I keep telling him, let's just save up, get a 750 Holly for it. He does not like Hollies, and it's his truck. So I think we're going to try to come up with a 750 Edelbrock, because he is Edelbrock through and through. I don't really care, not my truck. I know a lot of you guys are diehard Holly people, but I'm really hoping that next year we can see this truck dip into the 11s. So a few of the things we had talked about are try to find a big block for it, but big block parts aren't very cheap. We've already got a bunch of small block stuff. We thought about rebuilding this motor because we think it's hurt, like it might have spun a bearing, not sure. Obviously we haven't torn it apart to look. I know a guy who has a pretty much complete 383 kit. We just need to come up with a block or machine this one. And we talked about putting a 383 in it. He has, because of all the stuff I'm doing with LS's and everybody else is doing with LS's, he's been like, why don't we just put an LS in it? And I'm like, man, this truck has to stay old school. As much as I adore the LS engine and the LS platform, and they're just so easy to make power, this truck just has to stay old school. So I think realistically the thing that we're gonna go with is another small block. whether or not it's this one or 383 or what we go with. I know he desperately wants to get different headers for it, and I completely agree with that. Obviously, a better carburetor. The intake that I want to put on it is this like Victor Jr. knockoff that we had on the last motor. If you can see that one up there. It's like a mid-rise single plane air gap intake. I really like it. I don't know why he was against it, but I think that would be really good on it, especially considering it's pretty much just a race truck. So that's where we're at with all the project cars. Hope you enjoyed seeing Jack again. I definitely think we can get in the 11s next year. I don't know, we'll keep chipping away at everything. Eventually we'll have some pretty competitive vehicles. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win anything, but we'll definitely have fun out there, and I think that's the most important thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.